Hello, pursuers. Welcome to another episode of the Pursuit of Happiness podcast. So I'm going back a little bit, and I know the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the reunion has aired. Unfortunately, I was not able to be around. Like I told you guys, I've been moving, and my moving involves moving countries. Like literally, me and my daughter were on the road for, you guys, not even gonna lie, 5 days just driving, literally 12 hours a day. It was exhausting. But we made it to our destination. We're here now. We're just settling in. So everything is just a little bit late. So I apologize for that. But let's get right into it. Beverly Hills. I want to talk about the episode where it was Dorit's book release party, okay? These are just some things that I noticed. We're just kind of, I'll make it brief. I don't think this will be a long one, but I'll make it brief. When Amanda is part of the group without Kyle or Erika, I feel like she actually fits in. Like she doesn't feel awkward. There's no tension. Like you can feel the lightness of energy. I feel like every time, in particular Kyle, like when Kyle is around, there's just something about Amanda's energy that changes. And it's not an energy shift as if she's walking on eggshells. It's more like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just almost as if she's free and she's not connected to an identity. I feel like when like Kyle's around, she has to be connected to Kyle somehow. So everything that Kyle does or says like is backed up by Amanda or has to have Amanda there to, I don't know. I don't even think it's that. It's just, there's just a difference in Amanda and how the group recognizes her and acknowledges her when Kyle's not there. So I did notice that. Okay. This is the episode where Bose got engaged. So congratulations to Bose. We saw at Dorit's book release party, which was sweet. The kids were there, but Jennifer Tilly's $40,000 purse broke. That was just gut-wrenching. But there you go again. There's an example of them being able to talk about how much things cost and whatnot, and then when Amanda does it, it's a big deal. Now I get it. Amanda was doing it in a different kind of way. It did rub people the wrong way. I don't think Jennifer could ever rub anyone. It's me, and I'm speaking for myself, the wrong way. But I do want to say that Amanda has grown on me. I think that she is a fabulous addition. Let's just keep moving forward because she does something is that's really nice. Now we get to the season finale, okay? When Erika says, "Don't talk to me like that." This is what I want to ask Erika in that moment. So it's okay for everyone to talk to Amanda a certain way, and Amanda has to take it because that's what Erika said. She's like, if we're saying things to you, like, kind of take it in, etc., etc. But when people talk to you a certain way, that's not okay. Because I'm pretty sure there was a conversation when Amanda's like, I didn't like the way that she talked to me. She talked to me this certain way. And then Bose told Amanda, and Erika was in agreement and said, you can't control what people do and how they speak to you. How can you manage that? And I'm pretty sure that's the exact same word choice that Bose had used. So it's just comical to me that now all of a sudden Erika hearing Dorit talk to her, it becomes an issue. She was in agreement with Bose that, you can't control how people speak to you. In the background, that's right. That's right. And I love Erika, but I'm just saying, like, Erika did say that. And she did say that. That's right. And then now that Dorit talks to her, maybe with passion, if you guys have really had a 9-year friendship and your friends talking this way, it doesn't mean that it's out of disrespect. It just means that it's out of an emotional place. So for Erika to even be like, don't talk to me that way, it kind of, and I love Erika. Okay. But it rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, if you, Erika, are coming from a place where you care about Dorit, and this whole conversation, this whole fight is because you cared about her so much, and it seems like Dorit doesn't. The fact that you keep shutting her down in every little thing where she wants to show a little bit of emotion, and maybe that's uncomfortable for you, that's not fair. Clearly Dorit is a highly emotional person and highly sensitive, and this is why we're in the situation that we're in. And that doesn't mean that Erika isn't. Erika is too. 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. They're all emotional women. 7 things for every single cast member of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills can be true at the same time. But in this particular situation between Erika and Dorit, I just feel like if Erika really wanted to show to be the bigger person, she should have shown just a little bit more grace. You already didn't go to all her events and whatnot. Just show her a little bit more grace. When you have Kyle crying that her kids are growing up, I find that a little bit comical. Not the fact that the kids are growing up, you guys. I just observed your behavior on my Kyle. You're the one that went and experimented with Morgan. You took some years off your life, traveling here, there, everywhere. Completely preoccupied that you have a woman on your side, okay? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But now that everyone has moved on and they're getting married and they're getting older and you're freaking lonely, it becomes an issue. It becomes your storyline. It's like, who is the one that wandered off first? It was you. Mauricio kind of had no idea. You're the one that wanted it. You're the one that kind of wanted to go off. And I get it. I have a daughter too. She's getting older. And I think about when's the day that she's going to decide to want to go be off on her own a lot more than she is now. But with that being said, I feel like this, not the emotion about the kids, but just the emotion in general or the funk that Kyle's in comes from her being completely lonely. And it's like, yeah, of course people are going to move on. People's lives are not going to stop for you, whether they're your kids or not. So I'm sorry, but you started this train. You started this. And now that everyone's kind of okay with it and has moved on, you're upset that you're kind of left behind. And that also kind of rubbed me the wrong way about Kyle. She feels like she can control it all the time. Lastly, another thing that really caught my attention is when Sutton said that if Dorit wants to be on an island with Rachel and Bose, who hold her hand and stroke her hair, then go ahead. Sutton, didn't you request the same thing from Kyle and Erika and your friends? For example, if anyone speaks to you condescending or with a harsh tone, you freak out and you think that everyone is yelling. I think that that's hypocrisy at its finest. Sutton doesn't like being talked to a certain way. Sutton doesn't like a talk back. Sutton doesn't like, oh, you're yelling. Sutton doesn't like any type of confrontation or reaction back to what she's saying. But she says that if Dorit wants to be on an island with Rachel and Bose who hold her hand and stroke her hair, then go ahead. Well, if everyone's like you, then of course you will. And this has been the story between Sutton and everybody else on the cast since Sutton has been on the show. Sutton can say whatever she wants, but as soon as someone confronts Sutton, it's the end of the world. And I just find that it's hypocrisy at its finest. So let's get into reunion episode 1. First of all, let's talk about the set, you guys. How beautiful does the set look? The set looks absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I love LA. I just love the look. I love the Rodeo Drive. I love the Bentley. Was it a Bentley? Bentley, or was it a Rolls Royce? Shit, I don't even remember. One thing I do have to say is I don't really like Kyle's look. I love the dress. I don't like her hair. I don't like the contacts. I don't know why she always wants to wear contacts. I don't really understand the whole contacts look. I really love Amanda. She's grown on me. I love her look. I love the roots, the dark roots on Amanda. They look so good. I think Erika looks great. She's gotten a little thinner from earlier seasons, but I mean, Erika looks great. Bose looks fabulous. Dorit looks fabulous. Rachel looks great. Sutton looks good. Some important points, though, that I want to get into about the reunion. First of all, Rachel's package was short and sweet. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. Erika's package showed that throughout the season she had spoken about her grievances. So it's hard for her to hear that Dorit didn't know that she was going through stuff. Then when Erika says that Kyle and her and Dorit were supposed to go to Aspen and it didn't end up working out, I wonder why Dorit felt that Erika didn't tell her anything. Because clearly you guys had a trip planned. Part of it was because Dorit knew that Erika was going through this situation with this guy and there was domestic abuse involved. So I'm so curious as to why Dorit wouldn't think that something was going on with Erika. Or maybe she just felt that Erika had to tell her privately to make it actually real. Like real life true and not just reality TV true, if that makes sense. I find that sometimes, a lot of times, because they are such good friends, they feel like these conversations need to be had in private. And if it's brought to the TV, then that's when you start hearing, oh, it's fake. You're just my friend for the show. And all these kind of different things get brought up. I also posted this clip to my socials. It's weird that Tom didn't show up for Erika's shows. Now, I think as an audience, we could all see the writing on the wall from the time he talked to her so sternly in front of Lisa Vanderpump, and I believe it was Ken. When he was like, "Excuse me, Erika." And that just shut down Erika so much. And we all know that when Erika wants to say something or speak her piece, she doesn't like being overtalked, overrun. She's very good at sort of holding her voice through a conversation. And if she feels like someone is trying to shut her down, she will do a great job of being like, okay, hold on, my turn to speak. I love that about Erika. I just love that sternness. I love how she never sells herself out, in situations like that. Like, I feel like most people will kind of take a back seat and be like, okay, and let the next person speak, because like, it's like the battle of the voices. Like, whoever's got a louder voice is going to win in this situation. But Erika can say it so calmly and she still gets her point across. One part that I did LOL, you guys, so loud, was when Dorit said that Kyle doesn't talk about her life. I LOL'd out loud for a number of reasons. First of all, maybe the past couple of seasons, you're right, she hasn't. There's just really nothing going on, I feel like, in Kyle's life for her to talk about. The last time that something was spoken about with Kyle was prior to when Morgan Wade came on the show, because when Morgan was on the show, she talked, but we still didn't understand if she was a lesbian or not. Like that type of stuff was kind of kept hush hush and secret. And then the past couple years, for sure, we've realized, okay, so part of the reason, is because Morgan doesn't like this. And so there's a huge part of Kyle's life that we're uncertain about. And it's not like she has much going on with Mauricio. We can see from the tabloids and stuff what's going on with Mauricio. The kids are all grown up. They all have their own lives. So yeah, there is a huge chunk of Kyle's life that is not being shown. And I know that Kyle has been a staple on the show. I'm not saying she hasn't. Kyle, for a long time, was one of my favorite housewives because she was the original. She was fun. But things have changed over the past few years. And I still think that she's very important for the Bravo verse. And she's just a familiar face for the franchise of Beverly Hills. But sometimes I don't agree when people and other podcasters, bloggers, sites say that she should take a break. I meant to say I agree with that. I don't argue that she shouldn't leave. I think that it would be actually a good idea for her to maybe just take a little bit of a break, reset, really get to what she wants. Not because we as viewers want to see drama in her life. So, Kyle, take a break. Go start some fights with some people in your life and then come back and air it on TV. No. But just, I think it's like anything that you go through in life. You kind of need a few moments, whether that's a year, 2 years, 3 years, even a few months, to just sort of process what's happened and to really get back to what it is that you want in life. I know that the trip that I took with my daughter recently, where we moved out of the country, then we moved back, that was something like that for me. Initially, when I had moved, it was just to kind of settle my mind and get away from a lot of things that were happening, and I just wanted to start fresh. You guys, I took off my eyelashes, I took off my nails. I've had my nails done for 20 years. I stopped wearing makeup. I even stopped going to the gym, and the gym is my life. But I just wanted to build myself up from the bottom. What is important to me? Can I take these external things away and still be who I am at the core? And it's always a work in progress. I'm not saying I'm done yet, but I'm just saying that 6 months away from what I call home, and a place that I've grown up with, and a place where I'm moving to a place where there's complete strangers around me and a brand new way of life and new culture. And I would even say a slower pace of life, which is why I had chosen Mexico, really made me see I don't need to have my lashes. I like to have lashes done and, be ready to go out of the house every day and not worry about anything, but I don't need it to be me. But for a long time, I thought I did, And so back to me, like, I relate everything to myself, but back to speaking about Kyle, sometimes you just need that time. And I feel like Kyla has reached a place where she just needs that time to figure out what she really wants, because she even admits it in times throughout the reunion. Like, she's just unsure of what's going to happen next. But we'll get into that. I digress a little bit. I do agree with Dorit on this, that when Kyle points out that Dorit is talking shit about PK and her spending habits, it does make it more notable and more obvious and makes people zoom in on it more. So yeah, it might now be more of an issue than it would have been before had it not been mentioned, if they do go to court, etc., etc. But I do also agree that by Dorit doing these things, it does not help her, especially if she does go into a divorce case in the end, because everything you can and do will be used against you in the court of law. Like, the house always wants to win, it's one of those things. Even spending $4,000 on a purse shouldn't be on TV at all. She should pretend that she doesn't spend anything on TV, because it can be used against you in the court of law. Think Stacey from Potomac. I remember this latest season that just aired, and we just ended Potomac. They had gone to, I want to say Wasabi, Kimosabi, and everyone is buying stuff. And Stacey said, I'm not buying anything because I'm just not as financially well off as you guys. I'm not there yet anyways. Now, this doesn't mean that Stacey doesn't go shopping, but for the cameras and with all those eyes on her, knowing that she probably has some other financial obligations, I believe that's why Stacey refrained from purchasing anything at Kimosabi, I think that would be a smart move. Like, that's when you should fake it a little bit for the cameras. Think Teresa Giudice on the first season of Jersey. What happened with her when she and now we all know that it was production. Like, Carlos King has admitted that he's the one that told her walk in with cash, and it was a couple hundred in cash, but they made it seem like she had 200,000 in cash. So again, more eyes on her though, hence, which eventually brought out all the investigations and lawsuits. It's a lot of people that go on reality TV say that if you have cracks in your marriage, going on a TV show or reality TV will amplify that so much more. So now think about if you have cracks in your financial life or accounts or anything, going on a reality TV show, especially in this day and age where we have all these access to technologies. And I'm a techie. I'm going back to school to get my bachelor's in technology, computer science, actually. So we have so much access to so much information. Don't for a second think that somebody isn't out there that's going to go search. Somebody out there is bored, living in their parents' basement, or not. Maybe they're just running a podcast account. I don't know. And I'm just saying, I think people don't look at the worst of the worst, but you should always expect the worst of the worst, especially when there's cracks like this, Now, does it make for good TV when there's cracks in the foundation and it gets amplified when it's on reality TV? Of course, we love it. Us as an audience, we die for those moments. But on the other side of it, if you're that person, why would you subject yourself to such scrutiny or amplification of the cracks that are already existing in your life or marriage, etc.? Here's where I think we're missing things, and I don't think they've started. I don't think PK and Dorit have started their divorce proceedings quite yet. I think they've just filed it. And I'm only saying this because I actually watched the interview with PK on We Need to Talk. If you guys haven't watched it, go on to the We Need to Talk YouTube channel. But PK mentioned, by the way, let me digress a little bit. I was just reading my notes, so I kind of got lost there. We Need to Talk on the YouTube channel. Did a 1 hour, I think 10-minute long interview with PK. PK's first ever interview to kind of just get his side of the story out. And it was great. It made me just rethink, okay, now I kind of understand why Kyle doesn't want to bash PK, because there are always two sides to a story. But and I don't want to talk about Kyle right now because we were talking about Dorit and her divorce. I still think that you can still be a good friend and not have to bash the husband. Because being a good friend, like, two things can be true at the same time. You could still like the ex or the husband, but to be a good friend doesn't mean that the requirement is bashing the ex or the husband. It just means supporting your friend, you know? So back to what I was saying about PK and Dorit. PK mentioned that with the divorce that they filed, but it hasn't gone to court yet. So they're hoping to deal with it outside of court. So I feel like this is why Dorit has no reservations about the way that she's spending money on TV, the way that she's talking about PK on TV. It hasn't hit her yet that it might go to court. But if you go to court, and I've said this, like, this is going to be the 10th time, everything can and will be used against you in the court of law. Like, did Dorit not learn anything from Erika's issues? Erika didn't speak a word, and she got shat on for 2-3 seasons because she wasn't talking about anything with her case. She's like, it'll play out in court. It'll play out in court. It'll play out in court, because Erika knew to keep her mouth shut, because anything that you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. But that was because it was used against her anyways. Even not saying anything was used against her. Mind you, Erika was in an actual lawsuit, like it was going to court. But I'm just saying, like, these are all lessons that Dorit should have learned. So I feel like, and I'm giving Kyle the benefit of the doubt here, that Kyle is just looking out for her best interests, but it's not landing that way with Dorit. And if Kyle really cares about the friendship, she would figure out another way for it to land. Not go to the other people, not talk to them, gossip to them, tell them things that they shouldn't know. Maybe not even bringing it to the cameras. But this is where now us as viewers are probably questioning the authenticity of their friendship. Moving on to Dorit saying that it's her fault as well because she believed that PK was paying for the mortgage. I love Dorit. I absolutely adore Dorit. But I feel like this is the first time ever that she's taking accountability for something. And again, I'm a Dorit fan, but I can point out when she's in the wrong. And I feel like, I don't think there's many wrong moments, but there have been moments where she could be like, you know what, you're right. I did that and I'm sorry that happened. Or I didn't mean it that way. I'm going to take full accountability for what I said. I apologize. But she doesn't do that one bit. And that's just something that she needs to take inventory of. It's just part of her character. Something that she definitely needs to look and work on. I don't think that she's in the mindset right now. Like, right now she's just in defense mode. So her natural reaction is going to be like, I don't owe anything to anybody. Like, I'm just trying to survive. But these friendships also require a little bit of gasoline to survive. And if she can't even give that, she's not going to see any of her friendships last or even come back together. I mean, there's always going to be times where in friendships, any type of relationship, you need a bit of a break. Life. I took a 6-month break from the everyday that I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I took off for 6 months, and I actually thought that I was going to move, and for other circumstances have brought us back home for now. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to go back, but you make the best of it. And in that time, I really want to just internally look at myself and learn, what do I need to do to make it into this next step, to not look at this as a failure. And I was in survival mode, but I was not in a survival to keep my head above water type mode. I was just in what's the next step survival mode. What's in it for me now? What can I do? So I'm not trying to compare it to Dorit, but there's a lot of internal reflecting that I feel like Dorit really has to do at this point to be able to make it out, and to survive this, because it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. I love when Rachel Zoe says, why would Amanda add to the conversation when it brings zero value? And what they were talking about is they started on Amanda's package. So Amanda's kind of like how she's been throughout the season, et cetera, et cetera. And they talk about how, as a group, they find it, collectively as a group, they find it a bit odd that Amanda always pipes in and says, well, I paid for this, and I paid for that. And it could come off as emasculating for her husband. And I I agree with Rachel, though. I agree with that. I agree that why add things to a conversation when it brings zero value. And when that episode actually had aired, I had said the same thing in the recap then as well. So if you have been listening to the podcast for a while, I said that in the recap. Now, Andy comparing Amanda to Camille Grammer and her lighting up the audience, yes, I was kind of on that train, not going to lie, but I like Amanda. I have turned, and what made me turn was listening to her interview with Carlos King. She's just a girl trying to make it like all the other women out here. And I feel like, you know what? And another thing that made me like her even more after the Carlos King. So after the Carlos King interview, I was like, okay, she's a cool chick. I like her. Then when I found out that she went to Dorit's book cover release because she's in the business of women supporting women, and how would that have looked on her had she not gone? I was like, boom. She did it, and she had so many more issues, so many more intense issues with Dorit this season, and Dorit's own friends didn't go. I'm like, this is a good person right here. I like that Amanda was accountable about what she said about her husband, and how she even admitted that he was not happy when she said that she makes the same amount of money in a month that he makes in a year. So I agree with Rachel that, you know, sometimes when it's not adding value, especially when it's about your partner, you should just kind of not say it. Amanda was accountable about that. She also said that her husband didn't like, although she said that her husband didn't mind that part, she did mention another thing that she had said that her husband was not happy about. So she took accountability. She could have just not said that, but she admitted it. And then I also agree with Erika that the seeds that you plant today and the things that you say now will blossom into seeds of contempt in the future or when shit hits the fan. And that's not always avoidable. You can't always not say things because you're afraid about how is it going to fester into the future. What will it manifest to or transform or evolve into the future? We can't have that mentality and always think that way. But these sort of things that maybe in your marriage is acceptable, but as an audience or as your group of friends find emasculating, I would try and really catch myself from saying them or keep it to a minimum, because these are all things that can and will be used against you. Not in the court of law this time, but when you're going through a bad time with that person or that relationship. Or I know sometimes when I fight with a certain friend of mine, I always remember how I introduced her to one of my guy friends, and me and this guy friend always went and we did everything together. I didn't like him, trust me, not my type. We just worked together. Like, he was I was a general manager at a gym and he was my staff. So, he works in the tech department, I was the GM. So from the time that we worked together, we just are into the same things. Like, we're into a fan expo and Comic-Con and all these kind of things. And we don't really meet a lot of people that are like us. So we would always do everything together. My daughter would come. When I introduced her to him, just because we're all into the same things, they would start leaving me. They would plan things together and leave me out of it. And a lot of people would say, well, they like each other, blah, blah. And I confronted her with that. And she's like, no, never. I would never. He's not my type, blah, blah, blah. So then why are we leaving me out? Oh, we just thought that you wouldn't like it. Now, he kept inviting me to things, but she wouldn't. And then after a while, I just kind of excused myself from that three-way of a friendship. And I was like, whatever's festering here, let them do it. If I want to hang out with her, I'll hang out with her alone. If I want to hang out with him, I'll hang out alone. But clearly, there's some awkwardness when it's the three of us. And I was he was my friend for 3 years longer. And I have a really hard time, like I just mentioned, finding friends because of the things that I'm into. And so it's very hard to find people that are just down to do these Walking Dead fan expo or Comic-Con things with you, and my daughter with the Harry Potter and the cape, But every once in a while that I get frustrated with her or angry with her, I always remember that she stole one of my best friends, and he doesn't even call me now to go do those things. It's just weird. It's like I've lost two friends now, and they go do things together. And then once in a while when all of a sudden the other one is busy, they'll call me. I'm like, oh, so I'm your second choice now. So it's just interesting when these things are planted, it's hard to escape them from your mind. Just like someone that cheats. That's another great example. And let's bring in another housewife franchise with Rula and Brian on Real Housewives of Rhode Island. I think that every time Rula has to question something about Brian, at the back of her mind, that seed that was planted with him cheating, it's always going to be there. Is he cheating? That's got to be one of the first few questions that pops up to her mind. Now, as this was also happening, a lot of people online were saying, and now we're back to Amanda and her husband. They're like, well, Amanda's the only one that's married. So why do the other women have opinions about what she does with her husband? Well, now, if she's the only one that's married and all the other ladies have been divorced, maybe let's look at it that way. That's where they're coming from, because they had perhaps done the same thing in their marriage with other things, maybe not money, but with other things. I raised the kids. I kept the house clean. And consistently saying that festered into something bigger than it needed to be at the times that they were mad at each other, and hence why now they're divorced. So there's a lot of learning here amongst the girls. They're just figuring each other out, figuring out their tones. It's an age difference as well. I think that I'm Amanda's age. I'm going to be 42 this year, and I'm at an age where I'm so proud that I've raised my daughter as a single mom, and I've done everything that I have singular. And not really, I mean, I've relied on my family, but I have not relied on a man. And I'm proud of not being with someone just because I felt like I was stuck. And being able to walk away from situations that honestly didn't serve me. So I think it's just a millennial thing. It's like we've been taught to be so empowered and, yes, be these strong women. So I understand Amanda's mentality when it comes to being proud of what she's built and wanting to talk about it. But at the same time, the other women perhaps maybe not understanding or not thinking that it's important. Different stages in life as well. They've been there, done that perhaps. And Amanda's just kind of experiencing it now. So another thought that had come to my mind. Now the other ladies did come at her when she said that she thought that she was on a show about rich women and designer bags. And Erika says, well, it's part of the show, but it's not the lead of the show. And I agree with that. Although I'm a millennial and I love seeing the labels, the way that Erika phrased it, and this is another thing that Erika is so great at when she delivers things. Her delivery is always like bang on. It's true. It's not the lead of the show. The show is still about women that are friends and conflict resolution amongst a group. The bonuses are that, or the extras, as Erika said, are that they live in Beverly Hills and they have all these designer things. And, in the end of it, yeah, the money is just secondary to like the actual friendships and the conflict that happens in the group, because sometimes those things are not relatable. The money, the designer bags, the homes, but the conflict amongst human beings is the relatability of it. So that's how the show leads. That's how you get the viewers in. Or else if it's always going to be about designer bags and Bentleys and Rolls Royces, people are going to be like, I don't understand. Or some people, when they say, don't follow those accounts on Instagram that make you feel less than, or make you feel like you're always got to like strive to do, people will tune out these shows because they're like, this is just impossible, It's the relatability of it. It's the fact that people have money and then they lose it, or they're trying to build back up, and divorces and all these things. And it's how do they get through it? And it's just like an AA meeting or an NA meeting. You just don't want to feel alone. So when you see these kind of things, you're like, oh, here's another group of women that are experiencing this, another group of friends that are experiencing this. That's where I think that I agreed, and why I agreed with the way that Erika had said it, because I agree with that as well. And then Rachel and Erika nailed it again. Rachel said that you go, and they're talking about Amanda here. They're saying that you go into this victim mode and it contradicts your position as a leader and as a woman who inspires other women and as a woman that is a leader. And then Erika clocks it. She's like, Amanda, are you uncomfortable or are you unsafe? Because they're both two very different things. I think unsafe is much more dangerous. It's much more dangerous to be in an unsafe situation. But if you're uncomfortable, if you're just giving you... Now, not to say that being unsafe is not going to give you feelings in your gut and whatnot, but being uncomfortable is, things that are manageable, but you just don't like the feeling, Being unsafe is literally trying to survive. But the distinction was bang on. I know that Bo's caught that as well. So It's just learning. It's just learning. It's Amanda comes from a generation where the use of this language is much more frequent and free flowing. And because I'm part of that generation, I know. Geez, my daughter's Gen A, so just imagine the words that come out of her mouth, and I'm like, whoa, that's pretty dramatic, you know? So it's like every generation, you know, plus the experiences that they go through. And I'm not saying the women are that much older. I'm just saying they've been through it, they've been there, done that. So, you know, when you first go through something, you dramatize it. It's very dramatic for you. And for example, your first heartbreak. You know, you're crying and you're using all these intense, oh, he broke my heart. I can never live again. Like, how can I ever love again? My heart is broken for like, when you're in your 40s and you break up with someone, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go back on the dating apps next. It's almost like, and I don't want to say that you're traumatized, so like you just don't care much about it or you have PTSD, but it's just like the feelings aren't as intense, you know? So again, different stages, different points in life. The last part that I want to talk about is, actually, let's go back to what I was just saying about Amanda being a victim and a leader. I do see that. Like every time something happens, she's like, I don't like the way that you spoke to me, and I don't feel like comfortable in this situation, or I don't like how this is feeling for me. And again, she does go back to sort of being a victim. It's like, well, because I don't like it, we have to stop. And I think this is what Bose had tried to tell her. She's like, but you can't control how people are going to react to what you say, or you can't control other people's reactions, just like people can't control yours. Like if you have a reaction to someone speaking to you a certain way, that's your reaction, you own it, but you can't also control how other people are going to talk to you just so we can control your reaction. You know, it's kind of a word salad there, but with that being said, it is true because Amanda always speaks about empowering people and has this course where it teaches women how to make money, and she went to Dorit's thing, but then yet, I don't like the way that you spoke to me. And it's like, are we trying to control how the other ladies speak to you, or are you actually going to be truthful about how you feel and express yourself in a way that they might perhaps understand, you know? So that was a great piece of conversation. But I think Amanda's very receptive, you know, and like likewise with me when I'm in a room of women that are perhaps older than me or more knowledgeable or more wise. I love hearing this insight and this feedback because, and Amanda's very good at taking the feedback, you know, unlike which we're going to see a little bit further on Dorit, not very good at taking feedback. And I love Dorit, but yeah, it's just different learning styles, different ways of taking it. And I'm pretty sure Amanda appreciates that a lot. Now, last thing again, I want to get into, I posted this clip on my podcast as well. I never heard Bose, when they showed the clip, say that she's losing money because of her. Okay, I'm saying this a bit wrong. Bose did mention losing money, but the reason that she had mentioned that is because she's not selling a course for people so that she can profit off of. She's literally selling she created a course for other women to take so they can learn. I more like a mentorship course. So she created the course for free, and it's offered, I believe, for free or for some amount of money at Harvard Business School, which is like those things that you can take online and whatnot. And she's not making $25,000 per course, you know, if anything at the most, maybe $100 per course. So for the amount of time that she's put in, the amount of knowledge that she put into the course to teach other women, if you look at it from a currency standpoint, yeah, she's probably lost money on it, currency wise. But the amount of wealth and knowledge and wisdom that she's instilled in people who could now have taken the course and now go and make their own money, that's where she sees her currency in that. So I feel like in this conversation, then we heard it because production played it back and the editing and whatnot, they were discussing how they both had courses. Amanda's course helps make a profit, and that's how she survives and lives and has a lifestyle that she has. Bose's course was simply to help women, or people in general learn the skills that she has, and to move forward in their lives with that. It's not really it's not her main source of income to make profit off of, and to feed the kids, and to, like, buy the house and to roll around in a fancy car, that's what I got from it. And I feel now, don't hate on me, I love Amanda, but I feel like this isn't the first time that Amanda has taken words and she's either heard it wrong or translated it wrong in her brain. It could be, because tensions are high and she's just kind of in a defense mode, or like she said, she feels a certain way sometimes when she's around the women. So it could just be that kind of overlaps what she's actually hearing. It kind of like clouds her judgment or her hearing to a capability, and then when it comes out, like in the game of telephone, it's a completely different thing that she said. But that's what I gathered from it anyways. Now we get into reunion episode 2. Dorit calls out Sutton and says that Sutton deep dived into Amanda, and now Sutton's been denying it, but then Dorit said that she's the one that said that Amanda received a $2 million loan. And while Amanda is adamantly denying it, Sutton says, well, someone had given me the information. But they didn't focus the camera on Amanda so that we could see what Amanda's reaction was to that. But there you go. So, admitted by Sutton that, yeah, she did deep dive. So again, double standard. Why is it okay for you to deep dive Sutton and you to find out and you to get pieces of information that even Bose didn't know that she had gotten a $2 million loan, but you do? And you shared it with Dorit, Dorit did a pretty good job of not saying anything until, it came time to defend herself, which we love to see because these are on Housewives shows. Why is it okay for you to do that and you to have that sort of information at hand? Who knows if Sutton ever got mad at Amanda, if that would be thrown in Amanda's face, because we all know Sutton has a history of doing stuff like that, right? Well, I wouldn't need a $2 million loan, Amanda. Like, who knows? We don't know. Definitely double standards. Kyle and Dorit get into it. Dorit says that Kyle hasn't been supporting her business ventures, but Kyle lists off all the business ventures that she supported with Dorit in the past 10 years. Great. Thank you, Kyle. I posted clips from reunions that were 3, 4, 5 seasons ago. We all have the footage. We can all go back and see their streaming services. Thank you for being there for Dorit, if that's the road that Kyle wants to go down. This is where I absolutely agreed with Dorit. Kyle wants to go back 10 years. But Dorit is right when she says, Kyle, the past is the past. And Dorit said recently in the past 2 years, you haven't really been supportive. And Kyle's the one that said it. Kyle's like, that's because we haven't been getting along in the past 2 years. And Dorit says, exactly, Kyle. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We haven't been getting along in the past 2 years. So you have all these expectations for me to treat you a certain way. And like when you give me advice that I have to just, take it on the chin. But you just admitted that we haven't been getting along in the past 2 years. So much so that you didn't even come to my, as stupid as it might be, book cover release party. So why is it, again, double standard, okay for them not to be getting along? But, Kyle has to have support from Dorit, and Dorit has to agree with everything that Kyle says. But when it comes to what Dorit is telling Kyle, all of a sudden we haven't been getting along for the past 2 years. So I loved it that Dorit clocked Kyle then, and she made a point. Rachel tells Amanda the one thing that is not cute or nice or doesn't make her look good is when she one-ups people. And then they use the example of when Dorit came in excited about her book, and Amanda was like, oh, you have a ghostwriter? Oh, well, I didn't need one. I just wrote it. And Amanda took responsibility. She's like, you're right. That did, like, in the time that I'd said that, looking back, bitchy. And she took responsibility, and, finally they moved on from it. See how quick it was? Amanda just apologized at the moment. Boom. Didn't talk about it again. See? I hope Amanda learned from that. I hope all the other women learn from that. That's how quick it can be, just take the accountability and go. I really do love Amanda. It took a whole season, but it's happened. She's won me over. She looks beautiful again with the dark roots. I love how open she is to learn and to make these friendships. And I admire her for that because that's tough. It is a very tough circle to get into. So next we have Kathy and Jennifer Tilly. Kathy Hilton and Jennifer Tilly. They join us on the couch. Andy, talks to Kyle about the whole Mauricio thing. And Kyle again is upset that Mauricio is living his life right in front of her. And Rachel kind of chimes in and says they're leading a completely separate life. I'm not upset at Rachel. Obviously, we shouldn't be for saying that. Rachel has even said in her friendship with Dorit, like, I'm coming into this friendship group and I'm seeing it from the time that I'm stepping in real time. So I'm not going to judge on things that I don't know of or that have happened before me. I'm just, from what I observe, I'm making the judgment. So yeah, from what she's seeing, she's observing Mauricio living his life and Kyle just being there, watching. But let us not forget, and I'm sorry, Kyle, but you brought Morgan Wade on the show. You did a music video with her that was provocative where the entire world, or, Bravo audience thought that you could perhaps be a lesbian, which you still to this day deny. You lived a completely different life. And Mauricio, at that point, had no idea what was going on. He wasn't out in the tabloids. He wasn't out with these girls, these influencers, nothing. Why is it okay for Kyle to do it and not Mauricio? It's just such a double standard. And now that Kyle has nobody and Morgan Wade doesn't want to be on the show and Mauricio is finally got the message and out living his life and all the daughters are grown up, living their own life, married, leaving the house, going to college. Now Kyle is sad that like she's all alone and now it becomes like, and I hate to say it, like a victim mentality. These are the things that Kyle says and does that has really made me judge her character. And like what I mentioned earlier, it all started when the whole midlife crisis, I'm going to stop drinking, Morgan Wade is in the scene, I could potentially be a lesbian story came up, okay? Kyle goes on to say that half the agency is hers. When she married Mauricio and they lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with the 2 girls, which kind of made it sound like it was bad, but they only had 2 nickels he only had 2 nickels to his name. They also advertise the agency on the show quite often. And then Sutton chimes in and says, well, money changes people, especially men. So I 100% agree with this. Money changes everybody. And especially in a divorce, if the man has been paying the majority of the things, especially when it gets to that divorce stage, they become resentful. I paid for everything. I don't want to pay for anything anymore. I don't love her anymore, etc., etc. My question is, so now, why is it Dorit's fault that PK hasn't paid the mortgage when it was always his responsibility? Okay, let's differentiate. It's one thing that Dorit didn't even understand the finances, that she can take accountability for that. But PK is saying that he's going to take care of all the bills, okay? And now that her mortgage or her house or her mortgage is in arrears, house is in foreclosure, why is it all of a sudden Dorit's fault? Wouldn't this be a PK fault? Because as what Sutton and Kyle just agreed on, money changes people, especially men, and especially in divorces. But somehow it's still Dorit's fault that BK hasn't paid the mortgage. And as soon as they started having problems, etc., all of a sudden he stops paying for everything. But money changes men. And now Dorit has all these financial issues because her man changed his tone once the divorce or moving in the direction of the divorce started. But still, everything is still Dorit's fault. Kyle won't even talk bad about PK. Yet Sutton and Kyle both agreed again that money changes men. This is where I think that Kyle would have an opportunity to be a friend to Dorit, but still not bash PK if she doesn't want to say anything negative about PK because Mauricio and him are still friends, let's just say. She'd be like, Dorit, yeah, it sucks. It sucks that like you had someone there that took care of all the financial stuff. And now that you're going through a divorce, all of a sudden he just doesn't want to. That's weird. Okay. And even though Sutton and Kyle are not in the same financial position as Dorit, and perhaps might never will be, both, it seems like, through a divorce, to be able to sympathize with another woman, I think is just, you don't need to be asking for that, you know? Sutton is asked what she thinks about Garcelle and Avi taking pictures together, as, you know, we've seen them in the media that they had. And Sutton said that she knows that they were friends, but she didn't know that they were that good of friends. And Sutton thinks, because Andy asks, like, when do you think it was that, you know, the friendship between you and Garcelle changed? Sutton thinks Garcelle got mad at her when she had said that her and Erika were getting along at the end of the reunion, which was, I think, 2 seasons ago, the last season that Garcelle was on. Andy thinks it's when Garcelle was called boring and Sutton didn't really defend her. I posted another clip of when they were talking about Kyle and Garcelle goes to Sutton, well, why don't you tell Kyle exactly what you said about her when she wasn't there? And Sutton said something very minimal, and Garcelle was visibly upset because Garcelle, clearly Sutton, and obviously the audience could tell that by that reaction that Garcelle had, Sutton had said something else that she just was too scared to tell, or didn't have the balls, the guts to say to Kyle's face. So that's already 3 things in that reunion, that the last reunion that Garcelle was on, that ticked her off with her friendship with Sutton. So yeah, it's obvious why Garcelle is no longer friends with Sutton. And these are 2 people that once had a relationship with Sutton and now no longer do. So maybe they're like trauma bonding over it. I'm not always the biggest Sutton fan, but yeah, typically when you're not friends with people anymore, the people that you're not friends with find a way to become friends together or have a relationship together or bond over the fact that they're not friends with you anymore. And the common denominator being like they have already experienced you, had you as a friend, kind of gone through the same things together. So it's more like a trauma bond. I wouldn't necessarily say they call each other up and, you know, have coffee, or they do, but definitely there's a trauma bond there, you know? Jennifer Tilly yet again apologizes to Sutton, which I don't personally understand why. I don't know why Jennifer Tilly was the one that had to apologize. Okay, she apologized once because she was upset and she said something about her friend. You're on a reality TV show. We get it. Sutton's one of your good friends. But to grab her hand to apologize again, Sutton didn't deserve that. Sutton is not that good of a friend that you need to apologize, Jennifer. We still love you, you know? But that just shows the type of person that Jennifer is. A good person. Erika says that when Dorit said that both had been there to support her more than any other person at the table in Italy, that is what had made her so upset. But then on top of that, what made Erika really unleash it on Dorit was when Dorit said that, Erika, I told you to come in a little bit harder this season, but I didn't mean come in on me. That's like the point that Erika just flew off the handle. Interesting to see how this next 3 parts will end. I definitely think that Dorit will apologize because they left it on a cliffhanger. Like, Dorit, aren't you going to apologize? Okay, episode 3. I think that the way that they position it is as if like Dorit is not going to apologize. Or be like, what do I need to apologize for, Andy? And Andy was explaining for her, well, she just said that that's what made her upset and you know, made her get angry and upset with you. And it's as if provoking the thought that Dorit might not apologize. But if I know anything from how they edit and post-production, Dorit will probably be like, yeah, and I do apologize for that. But I don't know if Erika's going to believe it because it's just been one too many strikes, you know? I think that at this point in their friendship, they really need to just take some time apart because sometimes the time apart lets you just heal and process and forget and not let it's kind of like when you go to the gym, and I will use lots of gym analogies because I'm a gym girly here. Woo! You go to the gym and you tear a muscle, or you are stretching and you have an injury. You will still do minimal things, you know, but you're not going to be going to the gym full force until you fully recover, because that time away gives your body to recover, time to just kind of replenish, get your sleep in, realize kind of what you're not going to do next time, so because you don't want the same injury to come back. And that's sort of kind of like what a friendship like this, I think, would need. I think there's too much history for them to not be friends again. But at this moment in time, there's too much hurt for them to come back together to be close. Dorit's going through her own thing. And Erika never once said that what Dorit is going through is just as bad as what Erika is going through in the moment. Erika acknowledges that Dorit's going through something, but because she's going through something and she's taking it out on everyone around her, I can't be there to support her anymore. And I agree. And I love Dorit and I love Erika. And I agree with how Erika positioned it. And I think Dorit kind of, and it's, the signs were obvious. Dorit's pushing everyone away. And you know what? I'm sometimes get like that too. When I'm going through a lot of things in my life and I'm overwhelmed, I tend to push people away in that moment because I feel like going out and laughing, and sometimes that is the best remedy, but just going out and being fake and laughing at things when I have all this stuff at the back of my mind, it's not fun. Dorit, unfortunately, and if anyone's her real friend, if anyone's going to be Dorit's real friend, you're going to understand that this is, and maybe because maybe in that 9-year friendship, something this catastrophic hasn't come up yet in Dorit's life. So yeah, no one saw this coming because Dorit's never gone through a divorce before in 10 years. So her friends of 10 years and longer are not going to see this side of her, but she's going through something major in her life. A divorce is something major. It's bringing out these big emotions out of her. And I think, you know, if you want to step away from the friendship because it's just too toxic right now and she doesn't really know how to treat people, I would just kind of cut her a little bit of slack and realize that it's the first time that she's going through a divorce. And, you know, just like a kid learning how to ride a bike for the first time. And then after that, they might get on the bike again and fall off and make mistakes and, you know, scrape their knees. But next time around, they know what to do different. Give her a little bit of grace. Like, don't excuse her for what she's doing. But if you need to just step back so that you're not in the bullseye or in the eye of the target, do what you need to do to save yourself. For the closer friends that will step up and kind of be there for her, great. I think that that's what she needs because she herself doesn't know how to process it or how to act or how to react. She's just kind of like in defense mode at all times. I don't blame her. It's a major thing that she's going through, and she's got 2 kids to worry about, the house, all these things, right? But it's not going to serve her to get herself kicked off the show either. So she has to keep that in mind. But I think that, it's just Erika's hitting those seasons where like it's crucial for her to make the best decisions possible so that when she comes out of the other side, like the seeds that she plants today, let's talk about the seeds again. Whatever she's doing today is going to lead to a better future, hopefully for her tomorrow. So she better be making good decisions in the today, you know? I'm hoping the best for her. But anyways, one more episode to go with the reunion. I don't usually recap reunions, but this one's been interesting. So we shall see. So pursuers, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already liked, subscribed, commented, shared, rated, please do so now. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. I'm on all the socials now. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. I'm on Threads. So follow me there as well. All the information is in the show notes. I'm going to be coming out with individual episodes of all the shows this week. Next will be Ladies of London, then Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm a little bit behind, so please give me some grace. When I got back from my road trip, I was exhausted. I got a little bit sick. I think it was just from being on the road and my sleep pattern being all messed up. But I'm back in full force. Want to thank all the pursuers and all the engagement that I've been getting lately. I'm so glad you guys are here with me because life is just lifing and we're always on that pursuit, you know? If you're telling me that these ladies on these shows are not on a pursuit of something, whether, I know Portia has a book called The Pursuit of Portia, like everyone's on this pursuit to like find something or to like be happy. And it's just fascinating how I'm not involved in social circles like this, but I can observe it from an outside and just think how, you know, there's all one common thing, especially as women, that we have, and it's just the happiness. We're always on that pursuit. So thank you for being here with me today, pursuers. Until the next episode, have a great and wonderful day.